I'm transitioning. See that rod? All right, we're hooked up. Hi everybody, so it is midwinter and I'm going to go over a few crappie tips to help you guys catch more fish this time of year. And we are going to do an unboxing of some of my favorite lures that was sent to me by LureNet and how you guys can use these to catch more fish too. Alright you guys, so it is the middle of winter and right now the fish tend to be deep, so look for basins. We are currently sitting in 40 feet. What we did is we checked basin after basin and we looked at transition areas where they might be going from a point over into the deeps, and ultimately we ended up finding them out in 40 feet. They are suspended, they're easy to detect compared to many fish, so you're going to have to put in some time exploring on your machine or walking or your vehicle if you have that much ice, but you're going to be drilling some holes to look for these fish. Find fish, I highly recommend that you guys have a couple rods ready to go. We're going to go over some lures and some presentations to help you turn over more fish, but what I find is having a couple rods with a couple different types of presentations will go a long way in catching these fish. So for presentations, I also recommend that you guys have something super finesse, like I have here a tungsten toad. This is a really small jig. It's 4mm tungsten toad. It's going to be a compact, heavy package, but it's going to fall a little bit faster being that it's tungsten, and I've just got it loaded up with wax worms. This is going to be my super finesse presentation. Another presentation I've been using is spoons. You can have a little bit larger spoon, or you can have a jig and a minnow, which is going to be a little bit more aggressive, larger, and help you pull out those bigger fish. You're going to really want to focus on a slow raise and use something light, just like this noodle rod. It's going to really help you detect those bites. There you go, you guys. That is a beautiful crappie. Caught on that tungsten toad I showed you guys with some wax worms. Again, this is the more finesse presentation that I recommend always having on board, with a little more aggressive one. I've seen them both work, but this is a fantastic option for you guys to always have on hand. Been a big fan of the tungsten toad. I've caught some of my biggest fish, and Anna's caught some of her biggest fish on that. And here we go again, kind of showing you guys how well that lure is packaged with a little bit wider hook to help with those hookups. Find very helpful when crappie fishing is the slow fall can sometimes be the most deadly thing of all. In the fall, you guys have seen me use these jigs just because even though they're ice jigs, when it's a tough bite and there's a lot of bigger fish down there, that slow fall really entices those fish up. It's almost like a game of competition where who can get there fastest just so the other one doesn't get it. So I highly recommend that. The live scope does a good job of showing that as I fall. See him falling to the crappies here, all suspended, right there. He's going to look at it. So once I see fish, now if you're set up well, you can look at your rod tip and the graph at the same time, but since I have set up a little bit differently in here, when a fish is on me, I'm going to transition to looking at my rod tip. Right. So you have a flasher on that you can look at both, or in this case, do what I'm doing, and once I know there's fish on, I focus on the presentation and the end of my rod. Yep, see the end? See it's going? It's going. Here we go. Oh, I lost that one. Competition coming in. I'm transitioning. See that rod? All right, we're hooked up. You can see the school of fish is still down there. Just picking them off of the school as they keep migrating through. Look at that. Man, I love these fish. These are perfect eater size. You're going to want to put those bigger fish back, but these fish are perfect to throw in the frying pan. Okay, guys, so let's talk about where we're at right now. First of all, look for deep water this time of year. It is ice. A lot of these fish are going to be in the deeps. And so we're finding them right now in 40 feet of water. Pound the basins, the deep water bowls. Punch a bunch of holes, look for the fish. If you are lucky enough to have a live scope or fortunate enough to afford one, that's a great option. Otherwise, we just take our traditional flashers and jump around till we see suspended mark. Oh, wow. They're hammering it. Ooh. We're sitting on them right now. I do have an ultralight rod here, this noodle rod. It's been really great for this fine bite. More perfect size eaters. Hopefully we get a little bit larger ones just for fun, but these are the ones you're going to want to keep to thin out the herd, the pod of fish. Found the basins, drill some holes. then what you're going to want to do is when you find this suspended fish, I mean, that is the key to crappies, is just suspended marks. That's their dead giveaway. You're going to want to drop down and see if you hook up into one. Where there's one, there's typically many, many more. The joy of crappie fishing is there's a lot of competition. But to see what triggers them, have 2 rods, either a more aggressive rod, like with a spoon and a minnow, or a jig and a minnow, and then have something really finesse like I do here, a 3-4 millimeter tungsten jig. I've got the tungsten toad, and you can pair that even with plastics, which we will go over here in a bit. And remember, when you're on these fish, if you can hole hop outside, that's a bonus because you can stay on them. But what I did was, it was really cold out today, strong winds, put up the house, and then set up on where I saw the pot initially, and then they tend to keep migrating through. What rod and technique you should have. I have a noodle rod from Tuned Up Custom Rods. This is the precision noodle. I use the bullwhip a lot on crappie. It is a tough bite today, so I have switched to their lightest rod, which is the precision noodle. It's just going to be a little bit, there's going to be a little less tension in my opinion on that lure, and it's also just going to be, detect that lighter bite even better. So I have it paired here with 4-pound mono. You can use braid in a floral leader, you can use straight floral, doesn't matter. Have some light line. You're going to want light line with your light jig and your light rod setup. So this is the Garmin Live Scope. You guys can see all of this down here. A lot of times why the fish are in the basin is because of this plankton. This is zooplankton, and they feed on, you know, microscopic organisms, and then they are microscopic organisms that the crappie loves. So you're going to find them suspended right above that, and that's what I'm doing. And then I'm trying to work them above that line. Now you can see me right here. I got some fish coming in. I'm going to do that slow and steady raise. There we go. Look at that broad bend. Ooh, to get a real close up. Look at that. It's really fun to catch these on this noodle rod. Oh, that's a nicer one. That's our nicest one yet. Look at that, you guys. Wow, beautiful fish. Oh. These fish are in front of the live scope, and these fish are right behind the live scope in its forward view. Wow, this is silly. This is kind of silly. Ooh, look at that. Can see in there if the air bladder's popped. If it's not popped, it should be fine for a release. We are in 40 feet of water, but most of these fish are coming in much higher than that. They're coming in on top and they're kind of racing up, so I'm catching them in 25 feet or less, so there's a good chance a lot of them will be just fine. If you pop the air bladder, keep it, hit your limit, go home. That's the best thing you can do. Alright guys, now let's talk about my favorite lures that we're going to go over in this box, and then I'm going to give it away. What you guys are going to have to do is obviously subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below, and then go check out LureNet so you guys can get some of these as well, even if you don't win. So let's open this. Now what I love about these lures from LureNet is we've got a variety of everything. Well, you guys are going to win a lot of lures. I'm probably going to keep a few of these because I love them and I'm out of product credit, but what I don't keep, I'll give to a lucky winner down below. So, and I'll even put it in a stone panfish box, which are sold out. All right, you guys, so here's what we got. Let's see what they sent us. Dun, 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 dun. We got a lot of walleye. We got a lot of crappie. They know what I like, walleye and crappie. That's what we got in here, so let's check it out. First, Crappie Pros. Now you guys have seen me use these in so many videos. This is not a tungsten jig, so this goal here is a little bit larger, a little bit slower falling because it isn't tungsten, and then a completely horizontal presentation. These pair perfectly with plastics or minnows. You guys can hear that. Really finesse fishing. These are going to be super slow falling, super small. When you've got the toughest bite, this is what I recommend. It's a great option. And then we've got the 1/16 over here. This is going to be a much bigger lure for a little bit bigger fish. So I like to use these to kind of tougher bite, but grab those bigger fish out from a massive school like we have today. Next, they sent some Frosty Spoons. Now, these are kind of like a universal panfish and walleye spoon. I highly recommend you guys check out. Now, Anna's used these a lot in the past in some of our videos. I've always congregated more towards jigs, but she's always congregated more towards spoons. These have caught a lot of nice fish. These are going to be a little bit more aggressive. Tip these with waxworms or minnow heads. Or even if you want to throw it through the tail of a minnow, it doesn't matter. But I do find that these work better on a little bit more aggressive bite, or if you're looking for that bonus bigger fish like trying to attract a walleye because you just happen to know that there's walleyes in the area. I always use these when I'm multi-fishing. I'm kind of hoping that I can upgrade later in the day. We have Bobby Garlands, which we're going to put on here in a split second. I talk about these all the time. You guys are lucky. They've sent the itty bitty swimmer. This is going to pair well with those smaller jigs. They sent them in 2 different sizes and 2 different colors. I think I'm going to go with smaller size today since I do have that smaller jig on. Tell you with confidence that they work really good on ice. Again, the best thing with using plastics during ice fishing is that you don't have to worry about replacing bait, and when you're on a massive school like we are today, it's just up, down as you're catching them. There's no downtime. You get the most out of your time spent on that pot of fish. I have a small 1/16 ounce rattle and flyer. I love the rattle and flyer. I've used it on the walleye and the crappie all this fall. This is going to be your more aggressive option. This is going to be when that bite is super aggressive. You've got minnow heads on. This is going to be your ticket. I love these, and also I've caught my biggest fish, both monster perch, walleye on this, so I'll show you guys a little bit about that. It's got a very unique retrieve where you don't really know, it's not like consistent up and down. The wings on these lures is really making it kind of spin off the sides, so that helps. This is a perfect size right here for both if you want to target panfish, but then you also, particularly crappie, then you also want to turn around and hit that walleye. Very good multi-species lure. Rattling always brings in lots of attention. So we've gotten well beyond our limit. I've got enough to take home. I've been releasing the rest. So we're just going to wrap this up super quick for you guys. Yeah, and we're going to... Matt's here, so I'm going to have to keep another one. His eyes were blown out. Why they like being in deep water is there's a lot of zooplankton on the bottom. They feed on this. It's easy food. There's tons of it. You're going to want to work those fish up that line. That's how me and Anna have caught our... That's also how I just recommend finding fish and why they're there. It's because the food is there. If you guys want these lures, use LureNet Nicole15 to get a discount, 15% off, and I will see you guys, also linked below, but then I'll see you guys on the next episode.